Hello there. It's time now for your election brief here on Election Headquarters. I am Mama View Wuswabwaje. Coming up, Subin constituency holds primaries and declares incumbent Eugene Boachi entry winner despite court injunction. Ended parliamentary primaries would negatively affect the fortune of the party in the general elections.
It is our party. Friendly hostilities, contests among ourselves, primaries. It's galvanized the support, and let's admit it, in some cases individuals within their constituency have lost maybe some kind of hope. They've lost some kind of respect.
Stay with us, it's your election brief. The lawyer for two plaintiffs who sought an injunction against the NPP primaries in two constituencies, Samson Ladi Ayenini, says his clients will pursue the substantive cases in court. In the Tiwa East constituency, Eric Ofori Ejako is challenging his disqualification from the contest, while in the Asante Akim North, over 100 delegates are alleging their names were removed from the photo album. Ms. Ayenini says the court will decide the fate of the elections in the two constituencies.
There were injunction processes. For one of them, that is for the Tiwa East constituency, there was not going to be a primary held there because there was only one candidate at the end who was supposed to go unopposed. So our client's suit is challenging his disqualification, and that is Eric Ofori Ejako. His disqualification at the vetting and at the level of the appeal to the party. What he's seeking eventually is that the court may order for him to participate in primaries that will eventually lead to the selection of a candidate by the NPP for the Tiwa East constituency. Evans Nimako went ahead to say that the Electoral Commission had also called them to inform them that they had received the injunction process. On the basis of that, the Electoral Commission too was unable to conduct or supervise the process in Asante Akim North. How they managed in Asante Akim North to proceed with a purported primary is their own business. I am yet to have any further instructions from my clients, who are the almost 200 delegates whose names have been removed from the register that should have been used for the primaries. So whatever happens in that regard also, they may have gone ahead and done whatever they did with or without the Electoral Commission and with or without all the candidates required to be in the process, and also more importantly, with or without our clients, the delegates, almost 200 of them whose names have been removed in a most fraudulent way. The question that will be answered in the courtroom subsequently is that if their case finds favor with the courts, there will be a primary. So this, for all intents and purposes, may have been a useless exercise and a waste of money and effort and time, because I think they should have demonstrated that they are law-abiding, that the party at the national office says because of an injunction, don't proceed. We have also heard from the Electoral Commission, because they too have been sued as a defendant, and they also say they have received this, so they cannot do the process. And they make a clear announcement that don't organize elections there, and yet somehow somebody manages to organize an election there, and candidates, as I can read around, got 500 plus.
And we'll see how this plays out in courts. We will bring you all the updates here. Now, a member of parliament for Subin, Eugene Boakye Antwi, won the bid to seek re-election on the ticket of the governing NPP, despite a court injunction which forced the Electoral Commission to stay away from the poll. He secured 485 votes against 166 for sole contender Joseph Boakye Dankwa. Nanaya Ojima, my colleague, followed procedures and filed this report.
With support from party regional executives, constituency officers supervised the exercise in the absence of the opposing candidates. Constituency chairman led party supporters, mainly delegates, to declare the incumbent MP winner. Here is incumbent MP Eugene Boakye Antwi.
I also will give a sense of gratitude to the regional executives for pulling this through and making sure that we had it was a very, very, very challenging start to the day. But in the end, patience, humility, confidence gave us all the assurance that the elections were going to come on. It has come on. We have won massively today. 50
delegates secured an injunction on Friday to restrain the party from conducting the election. Party sources say the EC and other interest individuals were duly served, hence the decision of the commission to stay away. Mr. Boakye Dankwa claims to have no hand in the injunction, but he was for it.
They didn't involve me in anything that they did as a commission, as a committee, elections committee. Who is in the album or the voter road to vote, I don't know. They have done accreditations to distribute to delegates that will allow them to come to the election center to vote. I was not involved. I don't know who is going to get it, who is not going to get it. I also know that the whole country, no constituency is using accreditation to vote, except Subin.
Again, is this the end for the Subin constituency? Maybe not. But moving on, Michael Otribefi, Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Free Zones Authority, in a landslide victory, has taken the new Jabin South constituency candidacy from incumbent Member of Parliament Mark Esibeyabua on Saturday. Mr. Otribefi polled 372 votes out of the total number of 572 votes cast. I've been speaking with him about his victory.
Who shouldn't have allowed me to contest?
The party.
Is it a democratic party?
Not everybody got a contest.
Yes, because then those people were the people that the party wanted to, the party wanted in Parliament. You understand? You understand what I'm talking about? All those people who were protected, all those people that the party fought hard for them to go unopposed were the people the party wanted in Parliament. Very simple.
You don't think he was wanted in Parliament?
No, but if you are so much needed in Parliament, you would have been protected. Very simple.
The people who think that will leave a huge gap.
Those people who say that are people who are not part of our fraternity. Because you know that we can only protect an asset or somebody who is very important in the whole game. So if the person is not protected, what's the meaning? That the person is not important. Or not important, but that the person, when the person exits, there wouldn't be any gap. That's the meaning. That is what I think, the way I understand the whole issue. Because then, why is it that people were parliamentarians like Abraham Edu? He was the majority leader, the Tama West MP, former MP. He was contested by Natoshi. Natoshi was a very young lady then. She came in and contested a colossus, like a stalwart. And when she defeated the man, a young man emerged to show leadership to the party in Parliament. That was Osechiban Sabonsu. But for the exit of Abraham Edu, we wouldn't have gotten Osechiban Sabonsu. So politics is like that. Nobody is indispensable. J.H. Spencer was one of the best economists in the time of Buzia. He was the finance minister. He's not there now, but government is still running. So nobody is indispensable. We may get a new finance committee chairman who will be the best as far as the whole political system is concerned. So for me, we should never think like that. Then it defeats a principle of politics or democracy. When we had to all go into elections, the president himself subjected himself to elections, and he contested elections. When everybody knew that there was no way he was going to lose, people still contested him. Nobody told them to stop. So it's something that I don't believe at all. What is more, if the president himself has contested elections before, what makes it difficult for a finance committee chairman to also contest elections?
Well, many have said Dr. Makesi Beyebo's exit from Parliament will leave a huge gap, and that's Mr. Michael Befi there reacting to that. There's a lot more in this interview, which will air tomorrow. Now, an aspirant in the just-ended New Patriotic Party parliamentary primaries at Asing North constituency, Eric Amankwa-Blay, has asked delegates to return bicycles he gave them before the elections. Mr. Blay had shared 250 bicycles to delegates prior to the election, ostensibly to buy their consciences and votes. But that was not to be. A majority of the delegates took the bicycles but voted against the aspirant, as he only secured 44 votes as against the incumbent MP, Abena Drua Mensah, who got 389 of the votes. Unhappy about the outcome, supporters of Mr. Blay visited delegates to retrieve the bicycles. Here's Eric Amankwa-Blay's explanation for this action in an interview with our sister station, Adum FM.
Instantly, and I don't know, somebody like about a social. But to my point, the thing I told about 3 million, 3.5. Now, you just imagine, I checked 300 pieces, and I say 400 pieces. You just imagine the cost. Mamma envelope, and nobody the mom. Never said bike in a day. But to me, we have about a social. Now, you really good at it. I didn't want it. I didn't ask it. May say, open the telling I'm especially how you. Mimtele Bibia Kosu actually. After a man lose try, and I'm Asian, meaning Bibia Kosu actually. That was what you know. Sabi, Ompeme, Bibi Koso, actually. I don't know how much I was nice. This is not a replica with the bike in there. They are around 250 to 300, close to the certificate and almost 300 pieces. And they go out. Here, Marco, and 90 the woman, a 20% yanka. Yeah, we said the remaining portion, and no boy, Adoma.
Well, the aspirant essentially saying there that if you don't like me as a candidate, then you shouldn't accept my gifts. Well, he gave out those bicycles and decided to take them back after he lost. Unhappy with the result, he decided to go on the ground with his supporters and take back those bicycles. That's the story right there for you. But after a tough parliamentary primary, many incumbent members of parliament of the NPP have lost their seats. The over 40 MPs included chairpersons of several parliamentary committees. The losses mean almost 25% of the NPP MPs will not return to the House next year. A total of 374 aspirants contested in 165 constituencies. My colleague Fifi Kumsin has a wrap of how it all went down in the constituencies.
The election was largely peaceful, except the violence and clashes in a few places. The situation in Bantama was the first to hit the news wires. Incumbent MP Daniel Ochimabwaje faced off with Deputy Chief of Staff Francis Asensibuache over a decision to allow a national security officer to vote. In the Walensee South constituency, a difference of 2 votes between the incumbent MP Thomas Donko and the contender Haruna Abdullahi led to a protest amid burning of car tires. But the main highlight of the primary was the massive losses of some incumbent MPs and the slim margins by which some won the election. In La Dadekotopon, Vincent Soa Odote lost to lecturer at the UPSA, Joseph Gerald Tete.
As the parliamentary candidate elect for Dadekotopon constituency.
And many more incumbent MPs lost. Chairman of Parliament's Communications Committee, Frederick Opareansa, Chairman of the Education Committee, William Kwetu, Chairman of the Government Assurances Committee, Collins Ousuamankwa, Youth and Sports Committee Chairman, Alex Ejekum, Vice Chairman of Parliament's Roads Committee, Kofi Brako, and Vice Chairman of Parliament's Trade and Industry Committee, Ato Pamfort. And for some others, the victory nearly never was. At Domekwabenya, Adwasafo won by only 8 votes. In the Krow constituency, Elizabeth Afolekwe maintained her seat with a 3-vote lead.
God has done me well. I thank all my constituents, I thank all the delegates for voting for me massively.
A few first-timers too lost. Musician Bais Osekofo, popularly known as Obo, lost in the Asante Achim South constituency.
Watch out for Asante Achim South. We are becoming one of MPP's stronghold.
In Wenchi, seasoned journalist Kojo Frimpong, who preached a new hope, a new dawn, and a new opportunity, took the third spot.
Well, for the losers, I guess they have to come back and fight again. This is Election Brief on your election headquarters. When we return, we will look at the female factor in the just ended NPP primaries. Stay with us. Welcome back to Election Brief. At least 23 out of the 51 women who made the cut to contest the NPP parliamentary primaries will be representing the party in the December 7 polls. Although some were enabled by the party to go unopposed and others failed to achieve their bid, many others went boot for boot with their male counterpart to emerge victorious. Incumbents were pushed out as new faces entered the race. JoyNews editor Araba Kumsin joins me with some analysis of the female factor in the just ended primaries. Araba, as at the start of the polls Saturday, we know that 51 women had been cleared by the party to contest in the various regions. Which of the regions had the highest number of females coming forward to participate in the polls?
That's correct, Mamavi. 51 women made the cut for the primaries, but unfortunately, not all of them sailed through. Greater Accra had the highest number of women contesting, 12 in all, out of which at least 7 will be contesting on the party's ticket in December. The Ashanti region comes in a close second with 11 female contenders, out of which at least 6 women will lead the party in their various constituencies. Coming in third is the Eastern region, which had 9 women contesting, and at least 4 women have been given the all-clear to contest the national elections. We had 5 women in the Central region and 4 in the Western region, and the rest of the regions had 3 or less. And OT region, the Savannah region, as well as the Western North region did not have any female aspirants contesting.
So going into the contest, there were some areas which were expected to be keenly contested, which had women also competing with their male counterparts to win the slot. Run us through some of the key areas that you monitored.
Well, the Domekwabenya constituency was one political observers were watching out for, especially because of the events that had happened in the lead up to the polls, with the incumbent Sarah Adwasafo and her opponent, Michael Quay Jr., leveling accusations against each other and counter-accusations. So it was very keenly contested. The results were very close, but eventually Adwasafo managed to clinch victory with 496 votes, whilst Michael Quay Jr. Had 488 votes, I believe. Another area that many expected would be keenly contested is the Krow constituency. And you know that the incumbent there is the Fisheries Minister, Elizabeth Afolekwe. There too, she won by a slim margin. She polled 362 votes to beat her major contender, Emmanuel Lie-or-Die, who polled 359 votes. So it's very, very close. In the Ashanti region, you had former MP for Mansum Kwanta constituency, Grace Addo, making a return because she won the contest there. And of course, many were curious about the polls in Tafo Pankrono, where former presidential staffer and gender activist Dr. Louise Carol Donko came in second to Vincent Asifwa. And many believe that she was punished by the grassroots supporters for some disparaging remarks she made much earlier on.
Now, one of the winners whose name is on the lips of many is the Upper East Regional Minister, Tangomba Abayage, who won the Navrongo Central slot, defeating the incumbent Kofi Ada, who is the aviation minister. What did the trick Araba for her, and what does she bring to the ticket going forward into the December polls?
Mama V, I'm sure you've heard her across board. Paulina Abayage, she's a very strong contender. She is even named the Lioness. She had the support of the grassroots, so it's not entirely surprising that she booted out Kofi Ada because she polled 307 votes as against Mr. Ada's 266 votes. So already many have drawn similarities between her and the late Hawa Yakubu because she's firm, she's vibrant, she's outspoken, and she has the support of the people on the ground. So she's very popular. And with that, she already has a foot in the door. So if she keeps this up, she will make history if she's elected into parliament because she'll be the first woman representing the constituency in a while.
And just like Abayage, there were some new female entrants too. Tell us a bit more about them.
So Sheila Bartels, who is the daughter of former MP for Ablikuma North, Kwamina Bartels, is one of the new entrants to look out for. She polled 518 to unseat the incumbent MP, who had 315. And there's also Dakwa Newman, who beat the incumbent MP, Ahmed Arthur, in the Okaikwe South constituency. She's another one to watch out for, too. I'm told she is the daughter of Victor Newman, who is an influential member of the NPP.
And finally, Araba, there's really the beginning. This is the beginning of the road for many of these female candidates. The hard work is just about to start. We know that campaigning is especially costly for women who are likely to have fewer resources. What must these new candidates especially be seen to be doing to cross that hurdle and actually get into parliament?
Well, Mama V, for one thing, these female candidates ought to step up their fundraising abilities because that is the main challenge going into the main contest. Let's not kid ourselves. These elections have always been about money. And if you don't have the financial muscle, you're usually very lost unless, of course, you have a lot of, popularity on the ground. So women candidates must necessarily step up their fundraising abilities and go boot for boot with their male counterparts. We also know that, there's also this politics of insults phenomenon that pervades elections in Ghana, and they are bound to, be confronted with that. So they ought to have a thick skin going into this. They ought to step up their fundraising activities, and hopefully we'll see more women than the 36 that we're seeing in Parliament now.
And that's Joy News editor Araba Kumsin joining us with the female factor in the just ended NPP primaries. Now, as the New Patriotic Party went to the polls to elect parliamentary candidates across the country Saturday, it marked for some a mirror of what political activities in the COVID era would look like following the easing of restrictions by President Akufo-Addo. A party agenda met the reality of adhering to strict hygiene and safety protocols to prevent spread of the disease. But what was the verdict? Here's Komla Adom with a wrap from some constituencies.
Well, let me tell you a story. Set adjacent Ghana's Trade Fair Center, the collection point for the Landade Kotopong constituency. Period. The New Patriotic Party's just ended parliamentary primaries. In the beginning, it was smooth. At least 2 feet apart, the delegates stood in queues.
Don't touch your eye, don't touch your mouth, don't touch.
Masks? Remember, wearing them is mandatory now, and failure to do so could mean a hefty fine or jail term.
All Ghanaians must remember that the wearing of masks is now mandatory. Leaving our homes without a face mask or face covering on is an offense. The police have been instructed to enforce this direction. If we are lax and inattentive, we will continue to have serious challenges with the virus.
The delegates and the officials were keen in the beginning, obeying the protocol.
As you can see over there, the social distancing protocol have really been observed. And before you cast your vote, when you get to the first table, they make sure you sanitize your hands. If you are not in your nose mask, you are not allowed to enter the polling station.
But it will all fall apart in a matter of hours. And it got even worse. Masks now fitted as necklaces.
Declare Joseph Gerald Tetenyanyofio as the parliamentary candidate elect for the Adekotopong constituency.
And what happened after the Electoral Commission declared winner of the polls was an eyesore. Now, despite pressure from some of the delegates for the returning officer to take off his mask during the declaration of the results, he stood firm. Wait, did you hear that? Listen again. Look at this, for example. People pushing and shoving each other, not in violence, but in celebration of a victorious candidate.
May we have many more electoral officers insisting on doing the right thing, and hopefully we can all get used to doing the right things in the next big electoral activity. That's your election brief for today. Log on to myjoyonline.com for all election-related stories. My name is Mama Vioso Abaje. Thanks for your company. Stay with us.